So bottom-up forecasting is a forecasting methodology that really starts at the bottom of the organization, where typically you have an individual contributor like an account executive doing a forecasting call with their manager, and then from there it goes further up and up the organization until it reaches the C-level, so typically the CFO and the CEO. And with the bottom-up approach, it's really important that you try to break down the total sales goal of the organization into smaller increments so that all the individual teams can really make their own specific forecasts. Because what the account executive essentially does is they make an estimate on how likely it is that they can convert a certain part of their pipeline into closed one. So it's really a look at the current pipeline and sort of like the future pipeline and what they actually think they can achieve based on different signals and KPIs and sales methodologies that are in place. And then only later on, when all the different teams have made their own forecasts, you can roll up all these forecasts on a weekly, monthly, or quarterly basis. Best case, you do a weekly or monthly frequency. Then you can roll these up and then actually get input also from other teams like marketing, customer success, and of course also the finance team. But the bottom-up approach really always starts at the individual contributor level. That's what's so special about it, and that's what really makes it a very grounded and realistic approach. So in top-down forecasting, you really try to look at the broader market dynamics with an emphasis on the competitive landscape to forecast market share and subsequently also be able to predict the revenue that you as a company can potentially achieve. In addition, the top-down approach is based on the sales capacity, meaning it looks at the total number of reps, the quota, and also the possible quota attainment. And if you are an advanced organization in that regard, then you also try to include factors such as the historical performance, the marketing budget, the sales budget, and also capacities in production. But the key difference between the top-down and the bottom-up approach really is that the sales reps get a proper voice in the forecasting process. They make the forecast based on their the real pipeline that they have at that moment. While with the top-down approach, you really sort of like look at it more from an aggregated top-down level, but you don't really know what's going on in the trenches of the sales motion. So you can't really say that one approach is better than the other. There's a time for top-down forecasting, and then there's also time for bottom-up forecasting. And if you're a company that's very young, maybe has not achieved full product market fit yet, maybe your pipeline is not at a very high coverage, then doing bottom-up forecasting probably is not super sensible for you as an organization. And in those cases, I would always say, yeah, definitely do a top-down approach. It's still better than not doing any forecasting at all. And it's also true that most modern sales organizations actually use hybrid models at the moment that factor in a multitude of different variables, also coming in from marketing, customer success, finance teams, to really achieve the highest possible accuracy. So it's not a strict top-down approach or a strict bottom-up approach. It's really just a mix of different methodologies. But if you're an organization that's somewhat mature, then definitely don't follow a strict top-down approach, because that's over time very unlikely to achieve accurate results, and that may cause budget issues, and that will affect the entire company, including yourself. And often the main reason why top-down approaches are still applied is because there's the general feeling at a company that there's high urgency and there's no time to implement a bottom-up approach, and it's not worth investing into the tools and resources to build up all the metrics, to capture all the data, to actually properly do a bottom-up approach. However, I think that's quite short-sighted over time, because what you really do with the bottom-up approach is you enable the reps and also their managers to really have deep discussions around how the pipeline actually looks, if it's a realistic pipeline, and what can be done in order to improve the pipeline and the likelihood to close the deals that are within that pipeline. And with that, you really create a data-driven sales culture, and that really enables you to make these strategic decisions and become better and better and better over time, and create this compounding effect by using data to also improve the entire organization and the revenue that you all achieve together.